How to do Made in America the right way. Hey guys, Syama Meagher here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and I want to chat with you a little bit about this huge phenomenon of making things in the US, but how to really go about doing it in the best way possible that really maximizes it for your business. Now, you might have been seeing all over the place, right? Made in the USA has really picked up a lot of steam in the last 10 years. And thank God that it has. I mean, it's so wonderful to see communities being revitalized in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, in downtown LA, even in places like North Carolina, Michigan, all over the place. People are taking up more localized production, hiring seamstresses, working with factories, and I think it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing for a couple really good reasons. Number one, as an emerging market brand, you're probably wondering a little bit about how you're going to keep your eye on your samples, right? Samples can be so difficult to be able to do, especially when you're trying to take a tech pack or sketches and work with someone overseas who may or may not understand your branding, right? Who may or may not understand what it is you're going after. And the nice thing about working with someone that's more domestic is you can have an opportunity to see there, to go there, to be able to really experience that factory and even watch over how they're doing things. And instead of things being produced in maybe 4 to 6 weeks, guys, reason number two is getting things done domestically allows you to have your products produced in sometimes just 4 weeks or less. Now, when you do get things done overseas, certainly it's amazing because it's a little bit less expensive and sometimes tremendously less expensive, but there are some hiccups that come with that, right? Number one, you have things like customs, duties, freight tax, all of those things that you have to worry about when you're working with overseas vendors. And then also, when it gets to the port, what if the customs and patrol guys have to go through everything? What if your products are held up at customs for a month, 4 or 6 weeks? This recently happened to some clients of mine and it was like, holy shit, what are you gonna do? Except for just tell your retailer, sorry guys, held up at customs, right? Not much to do here. So working out of the country certainly has its benefits and features, but guys, to do Made in USA the right way, it does take quite a bit of planning. So we talked a little bit about getting your samples done, why it's great for production, but what does that really mean to your brand? How do you really pull this off? Well, you do it in the following way. You know, similar to as you would when you're starting off your brand, generally speaking, and you write down what your brand values are, having something that's made in the USA really needs to be part of your brand values if it's something that you want to be positioning and adding in your about statements, right? There is a huge difference between Made in the USA as it relates to your brand and then Made in the USA as it relates to your product. Now, Made in the USA as it relates to your collection or product is not going to be verbiage that you end up using, let's say, under your brand name on your website. It might be something that you use more so on your product pages, or maybe as you talk about your collection to wholesale buyers. You might say, this collection was produced domestically in the United States, or this collection was produced in New York, or produced in downtown Los Angeles, or wherever you produced it. You can certainly use it in that context to be able to show some value and to also a little bit on the mental trick here, get them to understand why it might cost a little bit more because the cost of production was a little bit higher, right? But as you guys know, because you've been fans of Scaling Retail for hopefully a long time, it is not simply your cost of goods that justify what a price should be, right? It is the branding that justifies what your price should be. So Made in the USA is not some sticker that you can add on that's just gonna get you a higher price point. You've gotta really think about where Made in the USA fits in terms of your branding. Are you doing something that is more entry-level price point? Is it advanced contemporary? Is it contemporary? Are you focused more on the luxury market? Really think about how that Made in the USA label is going to be incorporated with your branding and your brand values. Simple things, guys, like Made in the USA with a little dot after each the U, the S, and the A, or capitalizing the M in Made in USA. All of those things are going to be different depending on how you choose to do your brand voice and how you talk about what's important to your business. Now, one thing I should really mention here, guys, is that when you do have Made in the USA, it's important not to confuse that with the sustainability movement, right? Or talking about things being eco-friendly and those kind of generalized terms, right? That whole market can get really dicey in terms of what does it mean and what camp do you belong in, right? Take something as simple as, you know, a jacket, right? You can have a leather jacket that's produced from polyurethane if I'm a vegan-based business, and I might say, well, I don't believe in killing animals, so I'm using something that's made from polyurethane. Or you could say something like, well, I believe that polyurethane is a plastic and it really doesn't belong in our environment, so I'm going to go with leather because I believe that if I, you know, get an animal that it's killed humanely, etc., that's much better for the environment than using plastics. So who knows who's right or wrong here, guys, but I do know it can be very controversial. So when you sit down and think about what Made in the USA means to you, you might also want to think about what that really does mean. You know, is it that you believe in community? Is it that you believe in low carbon footprints? Is it that you believe in, you know, increasing the GDP of the United States? Is it that you want to revitalize, you know, artisan craftsmanship in the United States? You know, what is it that you truly believe in? Because that is really what the Made in the USA is going to stand for. It's going to stand for so much more than just Made in the USA. Now, the other thing to think about when you're going about this process is that there are so many manufacturers to choose from. Funny enough, right? It's like we went from this period of going, oh, there's no manufacturing, it's so difficult. But now when you log on to Maker's Row or you do a search for manufacturing in the US, it feels like there are so many, right? How do you choose where to go about doing it? Well, again, this all comes back to the brand story. If Made in the USA is part of your long-term vision, meaning you are committed to producing, scaling, and growing your business in the United States, well, then you really want to be working with factories that are going to be able to scale with you. It means you want to see who else they're producing for, as you would with any other factory, but you want to see what larger brands they're working with and how they can help you grow your business. Right? That I think is really critical. It is not just about, you know, having the small orders, which of course are helpful to get done domestically, but also how they're going to be able to grow with your business. Now, I know a lot of brands that started off working Made in the USA just to get them off the ground, right? Get themselves off the ground. It was great because they didn't use it as part of their branding. It was just part of the collection as they talked about the collection, written on the websites, all of that. But over time, they shift their production overseas, right? And when you shift your production overseas, they were able to take advantage of things like scale, they were able to drive their costs down, and because Made in the USA was not a part of them actually getting their brand established, when they made that shift, they didn't suffer any, let's say, customer backlash, right? Because it wasn't a part of something that they really stood for. Maybe they stood for other things like fair labor, right? They believe in people. They want to put people first. You know, all of those kinds of tenets and qualities are certainly translatable in lots of different markets of manufacturing. So again, guys, bring it all back. Really comes down to where you stand, where you want to see your business going. Now, when you log on to Maker's Row or any other site to find out manufacturing, you want to make sure, again, you're finding out about their minimums. You also want to find out if they can help your business scale, or make sure if they really specialize in that type of product that you want to be creating. I've oftentimes found that certain specialized products are still somewhat difficult to get produced domestically in the US, right? Sometimes you will have to go to Italy to look for that, or maybe you have to look to another country that can specialize in that technology of, you know, stitching or certain artisanal craftsmanships, etc. So again, make sure that it's in alignment with your product categories and where it is that you actually want to be producing. Now, of course, guys, as consumers, we are always aesthetics first. So don't think that Made in the USA is somehow going to get you off the bandwagon of having to produce a beautiful collection season after season, or however often you are producing products. You really want to make sure that Made in the USA becomes part of your brand, but is not your whole brand, right? Because that simply on its own is not going to be enough for the consumer, right? You want to make sure that it's simply a part of the total conversation. Now lastly guys, you don't want to be that brand that writes a beautiful brand story about being made in the USA and then decides later and over time that you actually want to be shifting your production overseas. You want to have that foresight. So just as you guys know, I'm always preaching about strategy, cash flow, understanding where your business is headed. Same analysis is going to have to be put on what your branded values are and how you incorporate that into your business over time and time again. All right, guys, good luck with building a Made in the USA business. I'm thrilled to be along with you for the journey. Please feel free to shoot us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. You will find yourself introduced to one of our lovely members on our team because as you are growing, we are growing too. It's very, very exciting to be here today.